Hello and welcome to AlayaF, one of the brightest sparks to light up Bollywood recently in what has been really a very dark and tense period for everyone, not just for the industry. So it's wonderful to see someone like Alaya so fresh, so young, and so good in Javani Janiman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Alaya. And I can see the Filmfare Award in the backdrop. And congratulations again for the best debutant. Then to become one of the finest dancers in India. So you've trained as an actor at the New York Film Academy. I believe you're also training as a dancer. So talk a little about the idea of training and the idea of learning your craft. Before sort of plunging into something.
I honestly did draw a lot of inspiration from my nanny when it came to this, because I did decide that I wanted to act quite a lot later, I think. There are lots of people that want to do this since they were born. They're just always dancing everywhere and always being this sort of presence, and have been watching Bollywood movies and listening to Bollywood songs like since they were like 2 years old. I really wasn't one of them. I guess because my family was a film family, I sort of ran away from it because I saw how scary and uncertain and up and down it was. And so I wanted to be anything but an actor. So when I did finally decide that I wanted to act, I was like, my God, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. And so I sort of went into my training, and I first I was studying in New York at that point, so I continued. I stayed on 1 year longer, and I did an acting course, and I came back to Bombay knowing very well that I have a lot of training left to do. And when I came back, I was at least 15 kgs heavier than what I am now, because New York dollar pizzas, lots of weight comes onto you. I could not speak Hindi because my family for some reason was never a Hindi speaking family, which now I get very upset at them for. Plus I was in New York for 3 years where I didn't speak a word of Hindi anywhere. I could not dance to save my life. Like one day I will put out the videos of how I used to dance. I had 2 left feet. I could not dance. I had learned basics of acting, but that also it was I couldn't act in Hindi. There was nothing I could do. And I was like, if I am going to do this, I'm going to do this well. And I spent every day I used to wake up at 8 a.m., start my classes at 9, and I would go all the way late into the night, and I would repeat every single day. And then 2 dance teachers gave up on me, said, I'm so sorry, I don't think we can help you. I had to go into 500 other classes. And when I saw the progress happening, and that's the magic part, you just have to wait for that one breakthrough to happen. The second that one thing happens, and you look at an old video and you look at a new video, and you're like, oh, look at the growth. That is, what keeps you going. And that's what has kept me going nonstop, is when I look at how I used to be and how much I've grown from there, it makes me wonder how much more I could grow from here. And that's the most incredible thing about it. Like even now, when I look at Javani Janeman, I'm like, oh, at that moment I was very happy with it. But now I'm like, hey, but what if I did this differently there? And then, I'm like, okay, I'll apply it into my next one. And I still go to acting classes and I still do all of that. And it's just this hunger to want to be better every single day, and I feel like anyone that just keeps that hunger alive, I don't think anything is ever the end for them.
But to be so wise at such a young age, I wonder how it's happened. So what are the things that you learned when you were talking about starting at 8 and going on till night. Dance, acting. What were the things that you did?
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll tell you. So I used to do dance, and dance was many dance forms. I used to train
Right.
in Bollywood dance. I used to train in Kathak dance. Then I started contemporary, which I realized I had a natural flair for.
Right.
Then I was doing what other dance forms were there? There was hip hop. Then I was also doing Hindi classes, of course.
Right.
I was doing acting classes. At one point, I was doing 2 different acting classes because I wanted to learn different styles from different
Okay.
people.
Right.
Then I was doing singing classes, not because I'm a good singer at all, but because I wanted to learn how to modulate my voice and
Yeah.
control my voice effectively. I used to do martial arts classes,
Wow.
kickboxing, gymnastics. I used to do then just normal exercise in the middle somewhere there. Um, I'm sure I'm missing out on a few as well. I sort of just found anything and everything, and I wanted to just occupy myself just working
Right.
because it gave me a sense of calm. My teachers got sick of me eventually because I used to do classes Monday through Sunday and then back on Monday. I wouldn't really take a break. There was
Right.
a point where my teachers came together and decided that they were not going to take classes with me on Sunday. So what did I do? I went and I found another teacher that would take classes with me on Sunday. So
Amazing.
it was, I mean, I loved it. My teachers were my family. It was, they like, that's all I had for those 2 years when I came back and I was training. That's all I would see, that's all I would do. Once a week I would go out on a Friday night with a friend, and that's it. That's all I would actually do socially. My parents got worried about me. They were like, I think you should start going out. This is really worrisome. Before New York you used to go out so much. Are you okay? And I was like, I'm good, I'm just training. Just wait.
Right. Wonderful, Alaya. So, I mean, you were talking about being overweight. All that must have just melted away with all this constant activity. I'm
Totally.
sure you mustn't have had to do anything else.
I mean, I had to do quite a bit because I had PCOS. I still do have PCOS, which means, and both my ovaries. So that sort of means that I do put on weight a lot faster than I'm able to lose it.
Right.
And people often look at me and they're like, we don't believe you were overweight, and we don't believe that you had a hard time losing your weight. But I swear I did. Despite the number of classes I was doing, and despite all that, I had to keep my diet so strictly in check back then. Now, of course, I found a great balance with my body. I've learned a lot about what works for me, how I lose weight the most effectively. So everyone is so different.
Yeah.
So I feel like now that I know that, now it's very easy for me to lose weight when I put it back on.
Yeah, we don't realize, do we, how food actually affects us, our mood and our
Definitely.
temperament. We don't realize it at all until we actually start looking at it closely. And especially when you were growing up, I guess, what did you want to be when you were growing up if it wasn't an actor?
Um, while I was growing up and went through many different things, I used to argue with my mother a lot. So I thought I'd be a fabulous lawyer. So at one point I wanted to be a lawyer because I just thought I had the best argumentative skills. Then after that, when I realized that just was not me, I realized, then I, the most, then I was always torn between going into a business side, like, my dad is in, because I did enjoy studying business related things when I was in school. And, I still probably want to use that somewhere in the future and create something wonderful with it. But then I realized that I really did love film. So I decided I'll be a director. Because in school, I used to make a lot of film projects, and I used to direct a lot of our school videos and everything. So I was like, I think maybe I can do this. And that's actually what I went to New York to study. I went to NYU to study filmmaking. And at that point, it was the best filmmaking course in the world. So I was like, great, I got into this. I have potential. I have all of that. And it was nice. But there was this one course which was learning how to direct actors. And in that, we all had to act a little bit. And I remember that was just my favorite class because I just had to act. And other people would direct me, and then I would direct other people, and, so on and so forth. But the acting bit was just so satisfying. And it was just that moment of me doing that where I was like, why am I not doing this full time? Why am I looking forward to this class so much and then going to all these other classes that I'm so about? And so then I came back one summer and I told my mom that I want to be an actor.
I wonder what was her reaction?
She thought I was just being indecisive and impulsive and all of that, because after so many years of me saying I'll be anything but an actor, suddenly I'm like, I want to act. So she was like, yeah, okay, we'll see. She was just sort of like pacifying me. And then I mentioned it again, and she was like, yeah, we'll see, don't worry. And I was like, okay, no one's taking me seriously. So I went and I applied to New York Film Academy. And I got into New York Film Academy. And I was like, great, I have an acceptance letter. And then I made a 5-year plan. And I went to both my parents with this 5-year plan and my acceptance letter. And I was like, just say yes. And they were like, okay, seems like you have it all figured out. Go ahead. And that's how it happened.
There is a businesswoman in you somewhere, I think.
Totally. If I want something to happen, I make like a proposal. Like, it's always been me, where I like write it down in great detail with the correct font and charts and all of that. And I'll be like, say yes to my proposal.
Because Alaya, of course, we all know that you're also in the Anurag Kashyap movie, which I think he just has 3 or 4 days of shooting left.
5.
That must have been really something that must have really got you. These are the things that for an actor are not within your control, because you're part of a larger team, and then of course a pandemic breaks out. What do you do? But at such moments, what kind of reserves of strength and will do you have to summon up? You're so young, you can easily get so frustrated and angry. Even when Jawani Janiman released, it ought to have got a better release, but again the pandemic struck. So at such moments, how do you sort of summon up that mental strength?
For me, when Jawani Janiman released and, touch wood, reviews were great. Everything went super well.
Everyone loved it. I loved it.
Thank
Everyone
you.
else did too.
Thank you. So it was so wonderful. And I immediately went off to finish shooting Anurag sir's film. We had our last schedule, and I went off to shoot it like right after Jawani Janiman. And suddenly we had to cut our shoot short to come back because a travel ban was about to happen and a lockdown was about to start.
Right.
And so the lockdown started, and I had 2 films that I had at that point, 2 more films. And because of the lockdown, both of those went away because suddenly no one was sure about what was happening, where things were going. And suddenly I was like, my God, this high that I had after Jawani Janiman was so many people were coming to me with movies and roles and wonderful ones at that. Suddenly it had all been taken away. And also the Jawani Janiman hype had died down. So not like even more people were coming in after that.
Right.
And I was like, my God. And I was like, this is really unfortunate because I gave it my all, right? I put in everything I had into my training and everything till that point. It worked out also. The reviews were great. Everything was perfect. And then it just went by something that nobody could control. For a very long time, and I wondered why that something like that might have happened. And I look for reasons in a lot of things, very selfishly making everything that's happening about myself, but I like to look for a reason in why this perhaps might have happened to me. And what I realized through that is, after Jawani Janiman, I think because the reviews were great and all of that happened, I think I might have gotten a little bit overconfident, in the sense where I was like, I got this, like now everything is sorted, my film has done well, I'm getting great offers, everything is going super well. And I think somewhere I might have gotten a little bit complacent and confident. And suddenly after the lockdown started opening up, and I would go out to say a dinner somewhere, or this is when the lockdown first opened up.
Right.
And suddenly, because the lockdown had happened, I was, meeting some new people, and they were like, hi, what do you do? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm an actor, and they were like, oh, have you done anything that we've seen? And I was like, yeah, I've done a film, Jawani Janiman. And, that feeling of having to say that again, over and over again, which is something that I thought I was a little bit past, was so humbling, because I was like, I have miles and miles to go. And here I thought I had made it right before the lockdown, but I was like, I have such a long way to go and so much more to prove and so much more work to put in. that it sort of really humbled me, this whole lockdown. And so every time something happens that sets me back, I just look at it as something that is humbling, that again reminded me of what I already knew, which is that one day you can be up here and one day you can be down there.
Absolutely.
And so I sort of take all of this as a part of that, and better that it happens earlier in your career than later is another thing I believe. Rather, have time to prove myself from here than be at the top of my game and then fall. So, I mean, yeah, and also I think of it as more time to prep and more time to get better, you know? And so, yeah, that's how I've sort of just started looking at everything, because like I thought about it. I got my film fair and the world went into a lockdown again.
Yeah.
I was like,
talk about luck.
Anytime I get momentum, the world goes into a lockdown.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is life, and touch wood, I'm still blessed. My film got a release. My family and my friends and everyone around me safe and sound. I managed to get this lovely black lady. So I'm blessed. No complaints here.
Who are your acting coaches, Alaya?
So I have an acting coach, Ritesh Kant. He has been there with me since day one.
Right.
Since I came back from New York, it's been what now? Years that we've been training together.
Right.
He has been the most incredible, most supportive person. He's been my counselor. He's been my everything, because every day for, I think our classes were supposed to be 3 times a week for 3 hours. So totally 9 hours a week. And I remember our first class, he sort of, thought I was going to be like some random girl because I'd come back with this accent and all. And he was like, okay, fine, I'll just do some class with her and that'll be it. And he had given me this scene from Dear Zindagi, I think, to learn up. And it was a very long monologue, okay? And he told me to write down this monologue. He sent me the video. He said, write it down and memorize it by tomorrow and come to class.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I went through it. I wrote it down and I memorized it. I went to class and he was like, so did you memorize the monologue? So I was like, yeah. And he was like, you memorized the whole thing? And I was like, yeah, you asked me to memorize the whole thing. And he was like, all 4 pages. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, you told me to. And he was like, that's incredible. He was like, come, let's see. And ever since that day, it was like our classes 3 times a week. We used to do classes 7 days a week. Wow. Without even realizing it. We just be like, oh, what time tomorrow? Oh, what time tomorrow? Oh, what time tomorrow? And that's how it went for years. Till today, if I have to send in a self-tape or something, I always go straight to him. He's the first person I go to. He's the first person I call for anything acting related. Before I go for any film, I also do a reading with him. Right. I still go to him and do scenes with him on things that I still need to work on. Right. He has been like my emotional support and my acting support and my everything. After my first day on the Javani Janiman set, he's the first person I sent a voice note to. I didn't want to call because it was late Bombay time. Yeah. But he's the first person I sent a voice note to, just saying thank you for everything. Today was the most wonderful day of my life. My teachers have had the biggest part to play in all of this, and I mention them all the time. But Ritesh Kant, who was my acting coach, and Dimple Kotecha, who was my dance teacher, that changed everything. Yeah. Both of these people changed my life.
With both Tabu and Saif Ali Khan, I don't think it can be more difficult than that. What is it like just being surrounded by such hugely talented people?
It was the best. Yeah. It was so good. And both of them are just such wonderful people. There was no day on set where they ever made me feel like this person that sort of just started and doesn't know what she's doing. Right. They always treated me like I was an equal on set, like I knew just as much, and that was just the most wonderful thing. They enabled me to just be the best version of myself that I could possibly be. And they were always there to give me advice on something if I was, not getting a scene. Everything was so easy with them. Nothing felt forced or hard or like I had to constantly prove myself or that I had to do any of that. And they are so talented and so accomplished that there's so much that I got to learn from them without even trying to learn from them, so much just in a scene where you see them do something a certain way and you catch on to it without even realizing that you've caught on to it. It's just incredible. Like, who gets to do a first film with Saif sir and Tabu ma'am? Who? I did.
Amazing. It's really like beginner's luck,
Totally.
Yeah. So that sort of balances things. So, okay, pandemic broke out, but you also
Who
got.
cares?
So, how are things like for you now, Alaya? Are those offers back? What are you considering? And when are you going to finish Anurag's film?
Anurag's film, I'm still not sure when I'm going to finish it. Hopefully sometime soon.
Right.
But yes, of course, wonderful projects have again, thank God, started coming my way. Sort of after first lockdown opened up, everything sort of started getting back to normal again for me. And so I am shooting a few more projects. Actually, I don't think I can speak about any of them, of course. But yeah, so work is back on track. I am heading off to shoot now again in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks time. Then I'm shooting something again early next year. So that way everything is rolling now.
Right.
And I'm just excited for people to see it because I've made some interesting choices from what I think, and I hope they pay off. And yeah, I just want to challenge myself. I want to surprise people. I don't want to get put into any sort of box.
Right.
So I'm trying to do a little bit of everything.
So you've not done the conventional, necessarily the hero, heroine kind of choices?
Not yet.
Yeah, good.
Not yet.
What is it that enables you to want to take those risks so early on?
I think the main thing is the amount of those type of roles that actually came my way. The
Right.
amount of what you consider risky roles
Yeah.
that came my way, and I was very scared, honestly. I said to so many people where I was like, I don't want to take so many risks. I don't know why all these things are coming my way. And it was then that I realized there were so many people that believed I could carry that believed I could do that justice.
Right.
Which then gave it a sort of switch for me where I'm making these risky choices, but I'm also, safeguarding them with a few more things. And, I'm trying to have a balance, but it's so, everything is so uncertain, right, in this industry. And I'm sort of trying to figure this out as a newbie. And I handle all my work myself. My parents and my grandparents and everyone only know about a film after it's signed and in paper and I'm about to go and shoot.
Right.
So I like making these decisions myself, and I like being accountable for my own choices. So yeah, let's see. Hopefully all of them pay off. And I don't know. I think it's a wonderful challenge. I at least won't get complacent with anything.
No, not at all. And I think audience tastes are so different now. I think the only formula is that there is no formula. So perhaps what is considered risky is actually what will work.
Totally. Because now I've realized if you just do your job well.
Exactly.
That's all that really matters. So I'm going to show up every day and do my best and just be satisfied with that.
Also social media presence, again, so important in this day and age. This whole idea of presenting yourself to the world, as you said, we all want to use filters and whatever, but how do you manage that? That what is called social media hygiene, what is it that you do to remain sane there and to remain sane while things around you are also sort of exploding?
So social media for me was such a blessing at the time of this first lockdown.
Right.
Because, like I said, my film released and the world went into a lockdown and I had to stay relevant. I had to make sure people remembered my face and my name, by doing the most I possibly could while being trapped in a home. And so for me, that was social media. And at that point, my social media was quite dead. I had nothing really going on my social media at all. Because all I had done before that was train, and then shoot a movie, and the movie had come out. I was not an interesting person. I had nothing interesting to put out there. And so then I was like, great, this is an opportunity for me to put myself out there in the way I see the most authentic. And so I started going through my camera roll and seeing all my photos and videos and all these bloopers and all these funny things that were happening, and my extensions getting pulled out by mistake in dance class, and all these random things, and I was like, this is content gold. And I was like, and it's so real and it's so me, and I was like, this is what I need to put out there. And I was like, let's see. If it works, it works. I do more of it. If it doesn't work, then, too bad. And it worked and people loved it. And, it became sort of my identity on social media, which was that I was just relatable and funny and silly.
Right.
And I loved it. And also then in the meantime, I got to put out my art and put out, some yoga videos and all these random things.
Right.
And I found that when I was just being me on social media, it wasn't as stressful. When I was putting out content that I genuinely enjoyed shooting and making and putting out, it wasn't such a burden. When I was putting out things that felt very, very me, it suddenly didn't feel like I was putting anything on.
Right.
And so that made it very easy for me. And that's what I continue to do, because otherwise social media can become such a weight. You feel like you have to keep posting and keep doing things. And, there are times where I don't feel like posting. And for a whole month, I won't post. Like this whole second lockdown was such a sad time. And it was so hard to be on social media because it was just heartbreaking, and that's when I had to take a step back for my own mental health.
Right.
Where I was like, I don't want to be doing this at this time. I just want to take care of myself. And so I didn't post for a whole month. There was nothing. There was no sign of me, maybe longer than a month actually.
Right.
So I think just staying in touch with yourself and being authentic to yourself is my key for social media.
Yeah. It's your key for everything. And I think everyone should follow that. It works.
It is my key for everything. That's very true.
For you in terms of your physical strength, your mental strength, your social media presence, and of course your art, which is really the most important thing. AlayaF, thank you so much. I love that name as well. It makes you sound like such a cool rap artist.
Thank you.
And I believe you've chosen that name for yourself.
I mean, more or less, my birth name is Alaya Furniture Wala.
Right.
Furniture Wala doesn't have the same ring to it as just F.
No.
So I made it F. And Alaya, of course, we have a wonderfully talented Alaya Bhatt already in the industry. And I want to have a place of my own. So Alaya.
Very nice. Thank you so much for talking to me. And
thank you so much.
Guest. And I really want to see where you go next. I think it'll be very interesting to watch you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.